Hey, good morning. This is Joe from Citrus County Porch Life, bringing you the A word of the day. And the word for today, January 5th, 2025, is acceptance. This quote is taken from the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, page 152. He cannot picture life without alcohol. Someday he will be unable to imagine life either with alcohol or without it. Then he will know loneliness such as few men do. He will be at the jumping off place. He will wish for the end. And here's a daily reflection commentary. Only an alcoholic can understand the exact meaning of a statement like this one. The double standard that held me captive as an alcoholic also filled me with terror and confusion. If I don't get a drink, I'm going to die. Completed with, if I continue drinking, it's going to kill me. Both compulsive thoughts pushed me ever closer to the bottom. Oh, I hate turning pages. That bottom produced a total acceptance of my alcoholism with no reservation whatsoever, and one that was absolutely essential for my recovery. It was like a dilemma unlike anything I ever faced. But as I found out later on, a necessary one if I was to succeed. Uh, because I'm a registered nurse and I currently maintain my license, I every 5 years I have to get a set of fingerprints, and I went down and got some, and I was there for like 2 hours. My I didn't know this, but the older you get, your the ridges and everything in your fingernails become less prominent, and they could not get a good set because it's this is done all electronically. You put your hands down, your finger down, and they scan it. And if it can make out a print, not necessarily. Now I'm not talking about matching it up, but if it can make out a print, it'll say good. It'll take that, but it just wouldn't do it. And I always wondered why things are slipping out of my fingers. I don't have any ridges anymore. But eventually, I had my license, and that gives them access to almost any information about you. And they did take that set, but that's why I have trouble turning pages, and I dread when I'm doing one of these if it's going to be on more than one page. Now, when I think of this, in the 70s, well, in the late 60s and the 70s, the anniversary of one of the massacres of the Indians, there was a quote from one of the Indian chiefs who didn't want to see any more babies die. Didn't He said, "I will fight no more forever." And I've always remembered that quote, and it's so apropos to drinking. I don't want to fight it anymore forever. I like my life now. I don't need to introduce it into it to be happy. I'm happy doing these things. I'm happy reading. I'm happy when I can find some indie movie on television. You know, before it was going out to nightclubs and getting as drunk as I could, social anxiety, uh, just being an all around jerk. And I don't want to do that anymore. But this shows how you're stuck. I need a drink, but if I drink, it will kill me. And my kid brother died on February 5th, 2023, as a direct result of alcoholism. I had been up at Christmas time and I saw what he looked like. And I've seen that in the hospital and people who are close to death. But he was in a bright mood. He always liked to be the one that cut the turkey at Christmas. And I was there through New Year's and then flew back down here. And, the funny thing, you hear things that God wants you to hear. I went to not really a funeral service. He had already been buried, but they had a memorial service at the church for a guy that had died. He was so, so very nice, him and his wife. And his son got up and he says, make that call today. Talk to your loved one. You might not have him tomorrow. So I called. I called my brother, and there was no answer. That was a service in the afternoon. I called him, I don't know, about 6 o'clock. Well, that was the day before he died, and I never did get to speak to him. But I got a call on the 5th. No. It took him a while to figure out when he died because he slipped and fell, hit his head, and froze to death. And he was drunk. They had his blood alcohol level, and it was very, very, very high, like 4 times the normal limit. And I saw him, when I read this, I saw my brother with that quandary. I need another drink, and by that time he probably did. He could have had convulsions, but it will kill me. And I just think of that, and it's so, so very sad. It weighs heavily on me to have lost my youngest brother, 14 years, my junior. And I tried when I lived up there. We went to meetings together, and he was doing so well. I tutored him in math for his electrician's license. He got his license, but then showed up on all his jobs drunk and got fired from all his jobs. And, they say those that keep drinking, they can't deal with rigorous honesty. I don't know. I'm too close to it to apply that standard. But I just think he accepted that was his lot in life. He was going to be an alcoholic. He couldn't stop. He had tried and tried. And that was it. I called my sister on Christmas Day, and we were talking about it. And she feels like me that it was a terrible, terrible loss. Not only because he was my brother, but he had such potential. And, it went away in one drinking thing. And someone sent me an email and asked me, well, why didn't anyone see him? Well, he had his own apartment. Where my sister lives, the what you would call a basement, had been redone, and it had sliding glass doors out to a pool. And he lived there. My sister Virginia lived on the second floor, which was a full apartment, and my sister Sharon lived on the third floor, which was also a full apartment. But he went out in the middle of the night. Who knows why? and it was minus 19 degrees, the coldest it's ever been in Rhode Island. And he just slipped away. And his friend came the next morning about 10 o'clock because he hadn't heard from him. And we got the back of the house where the sliding doors were. He saw him, and he said it was obvious he was frozen. So I pray to God for the repose of his soul. And I just never want to see it again. Now, we started out with eight boys. We're down to two, myself and my brother Kevin. And it weighs heavily on you. That's all I can say. So God bless. I hope anyone listening to this that just can't stop drinking has tried meetings and maybe tried Celebrate Recovery or reach out. You can reach out to me at any time. Reach out to anyone you know. Call for help. Don't let it end in a tragedy. So God bless. Have a safe and sober day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.